Many people are turned off by frugal living because they think it is too hard or it deprives them of something. So, in this video today, we're going to talk about picking and choosing what you want to do to save money. I hope you will stick around. Hi, I'm Bonita and I am early retired. I'm not old enough yet for Social Security. I'm living on a low income and I am living off of savings. I live in Kansas on a farm and I have a donkey. This is Brownie. I have frugal videos all year round, and I hope that you will join me this year as we share ways to save money and live our dreams. I get this a lot. I don't want to do frugal living. It is too hard. I don't want to go without anything. I don't want to. I don't want to. Well, then don't, is my answer. I pick and choose the things that I want to do, the things that I feel like benefit me the most, that I enjoy doing, that will save me money so I can do the things I want to do. I don't want to do frugal living because I want to travel. You all know I travel. I love to travel. I've been home less than 4 weeks this entire year so far. That is not normal. I'm looking forward to being home actually. And that is something that I save for and I plan for. But I save in other ways and I save in areas that I love to do. I love hanging clothes on the line. I've always loved hanging clothes on the line. I've done it throughout all of my adult life. I did it when I had 6 children at home. I've always hung clothes on the line. It gets me outside, it gives me some me time, and I love sunshine. I love nature. I love having any excuse to be outside. So that's one of the things that I chose a long time ago to be one of the frugal tasks that I work into my schedule because it's my favorite frugal task to do. And I don't even look at it as being frugal. I look at it as an escape to get to go outside and spend some time in a sunbeam. So you can pick and choose the things that you want to do in your schedule. Some people love to cook from scratch. They feel it is better for them. They look at it as a work of art. Sometimes it even turns out to be a masterpiece and it saves you money. I have a middle son that is a tremendous cook, and I've mentioned that to you in some of the last videos. He makes sourdough bread every single week. And I'm going to show you what he does because a few of you have asked me because maybe you do sourdough or you've thought of doing sourdough. And this is something I would not do. It requires a starter that you have to feed every 5 to 7 days to keep alive. I don't want tied down. I wouldn't choose to do that. But he's a homebody. They don't travel a lot. This is the first vacation they've been on in about 12 years. And that's why I'm staying here to babysit the sourdough and the dogs. But he chooses to cook basically everything from scratch. But if you look in his pantry, everything is name brand and everything is ingredients. That's where he chooses to spend his money on name brand ingredients, but he cooks everything from scratch. So those are some of the things he does to live frugally is he makes his own bread and he cooks everything. So you can pick and choose where your passions lie to save money. I find it fun, and I've said this before, to kind of outsmart the system and be able to save money so I can still do all the things that other people think they need this high paying job to be able to continue their lifestyle that way. I love my lifestyle. I love the simple life. I love living in the country. And I love doing some of these old fashioned ways of living because then they give me the option to do the fun things I want to do. Some of the other frugal things that I do is I don't shop a lot. I've never been a shopper. I don't enjoy shopping. I've never been one of those that just wants to walk through the mall or just walk through the store, through every aisle and just see what there is. That to me is a time waster. I know some people love it and they look at it as a hobby and they look at clearance shopping as a fun thing to do, and thrift shopping and garage sale, getting that good deal. I love to get a good deal on food. I don't really like to shop for other things. I always feel like I have enough, and I have been working on trying to downsize my home over the last few years. So I don't even have the desire to go shopping. But that again is me. So that's a frugal thing that I do. I don't shop in my free time for something to do. If you would walk through my house and look in cabinets and look in the pantry, you would see that I don't purchase a lot of normal items. I don't purchase fabric softener. I don't purchase trash bags. We use our cat food bags as trash liners for my recyclables and also for my kitchen trash. And I use like a bag from a grocery store for the bathroom trash can. I use recyclable bags when I go shopping, and I carry my own in with me. So only if I see I'm starting to get low on like a bathroom liner would I even use the store bags. If you open my cabinets, it is full of reusable coffee containers with labels. It is full of whipped cream containers, yogurt containers, butter containers that I use for leftovers. I've never purchased matching leftover containers for my fridge. I just reuse things that I already have. I truly believe in trying to get a second life or a third life out of everything that I possibly can, because I know that saves me money in the long run. And none of those things are hard to do. It's just putting a little reminder in your mind to, hey, I'm going to reuse this. I'm going to save it because the next time I need a trash bag, I'm going to grab one of these extra cat food bags and I'm going to use that instead. And that is just how my mind works on a day-to-day basis. So I have to really think about the things that I'm doing to save money, because so many of them have just become normal in my household. And that's what I say about frugal living doesn't have to be hard, because you can choose those little things that add up and make a difference. And you will be shocked at how much less money you are spending. If you are reusing napkins that are cloth, if you are reusing rags or towels or t-shirts or whatever you choose to use instead of buying paper towels are expensive. We do like to keep about one roll around just in case a cat gets sick, but I buy those at Dollar General for $1 in the dollar section. I keep one in the camper, I keep one in the house, and that is the extent of our paper towel usage for the year. And if we get through that, then I'll purchase another one. But I don't go in and buy those $12 and $15 multi-packs of paper towels. I can imagine how much money that would cut into my budget. My budget is very, very small, but it's easy to make it work because of the way that I live. And then that extra money can be put towards an area that I would rather spend my money on. If you ask me, do you want to go on vacation or do you want paper towels? It would be pretty easy to make that decision. And that's how I look at frugal living. Would I rather do this or have this convenience? And it's always, I would rather have this thing I'm saving for than have this convenience. So if you start cutting out a lot of those things that are in a lot of people's budget that are not in mine, you can see where I get the extra money for like the 14 grandchildren I have to buy them birthday presents. If I don't buy tinfoil, plastic wrap, if I don't buy trash bags, paper towels, napkins, all of that adds up to like $100 bill when you start putting it in your cart and keeping it stored in your back room on a regular basis. Those are things that I don't keep extra of. I don't store them. I don't purchase them. And it frees up money in my budget, but it's super easy for me to do that. Those rags can just be thrown in the wash with everything else. They don't have to be washed separately. They don't take up extra water, extra electricity. In fact, sometimes my husband and I struggle to get 1 or 2 full loads a week of clothing because I will rewear my clothing. If I'm not getting dirty, why would I wash this again tomorrow? It's just going to fade it. It's just going to shrink it. It's just going to wear it out. And there's no reason for me to waste the water, the electricity, the soap to wash things if I'm not even getting dirty. So I save money in all of these small ways. And then when I need money, it is right there in my checking account. If you walk through my house, you're also going to see a lot of old things. You're going to see lunch boxes that my kids took to school to take their lunches. I still use these if I have to go to work at the state fair for 10 days every year. I'm taking one of my kids' lunch boxes from high school. And no, I'm not embarrassed because I'm going to use it until it falls apart. Why would I buy another one? You're also going to see an old vacuum cleaner that we've taken to the repair shop and had repaired a couple of times because it's durable, it's hardy, it holds up over time. And putting some money into that is much better than buying some of these cheap vacuum cleaners that wear out like Kleenex. I don't like to spend my money on some of these cheap new items that do not hold up over time. So I hold on to some of those old items, and it has saved me a lot of repurchasing money. I feel like I could talk about this subject all day and give you tons more ideas of ways that I save money around my house if I just walk room to room. But I promised you we are going to talk about that sourdough. So he already had the starter going. So if you're interested, I'm going to show you the steps that he gave me to do this sourdough bread. And if you are a sourdough person, maybe if you want to tweak yours this way, or if you have a better way of doing it, that's great. But a lot of people were curious. And this is why this is one of the frugal things I don't do, is because of how much time it takes to monitor this little thing going on. So here is the sourdough process. And I hope you enjoy this. And comment at the bottom, is this something you would take on? Because for me, it's a fat no. So my son left me like 4.5 pages of instructions on how to make the sourdough bread. This is his sourdough starter. We're gonna feed it tonight. We're gonna put it back in the fridge. And then tomorrow I will sit it out for 6 to 8 hours to come to room temperature before we actually start making the bread. So he does not dump off the discard. I know a lot of people do. I'm not sure the purpose of that, if you will let me know, but he does not dump it off. And then he measures in grams. So I'm gonna put this on here. I'm going to turn it on, and we're gonna make sure, we're gonna make sure that it is set on grams. So as you can see, there's a little G for grams. And then we are going to add 50 grams of all-purpose unbleached flour and 50 grams of cold water. 50 grams is not much. We're just making 1 loaf because I'm here by myself. He makes 2 loaves every week. See, it went over just a tad. He says it comes out better if you just stick to the grams. So that's what we're doing. So I'm going to take this up to 100. There we go. And then we're going to add this to the starter, and then we're going to mix this really well. I'm going to use a knife, and he wants to get all of the mixture really mixed well, so that there is as few lumps as possible. Then I'm going to put the lid back on and put it back in the fridge. Now he does this every 5 to 7 days. I have pushed this out to 7 days because it is just me eating the sourdough while he is gone. So I just use a knife. I'm gonna mix this up really, really well, put the lid back on, and then I'll sit it out in the morning at room temperature. There we go, all mixed up. It's going back in the fridge with its cover on it. And one important piece of instruction in there is when it is setting out for 6 to 8 hours at room temperature, leave the lid off because it will build up pressure and blow the lid off and make one heck of a mess. I didn't do that, but it's in the instructions, so don't miss that piece. So the sourdough starter has set out for 6 to 8 hours at room temperature. We're now going to mix the dough. It needs 450 grams of all-purpose flour, 10 grams of salt, 300 grams of cold water, and 100 grams of the sourdough starter. Now, I don't want anybody to think that I'm being a sourpuss about doing this. I'm more than happy to do this for them while they're gone. It's just not something that I would do on my own at home. I don't want to be tied down every 7 days and trying to keep my starter alive. But I have really enjoyed eating the sourdough bread while I've been here. I'm scared to know how much weight I've gained. I don't have a scale here, so I may have to make some adjustments once I get home. So we measured all of that out. His instructions is to use a wooden spoon with this end to mix it all up into a dough. And then when we are done doing that, we are going to wet our hands to form the dough. So the dough looks a little sticky like this. We are going to use our damp hands to kind of form the dough and get it together. And then we are going to start stretching it and folding it. Okay, so we kind of got it mixed together there. We're going to stretch it and fold it. He says to do this at least 2 times around, at least 8 to 10 folds. So that's what we're doing. That looks like some pretty good dough now. So now is when his shower cap comes into play. He has shower caps that he puts over the top of this, and we're going to let this sit and settle for about 60 minutes, and then we'll be back. And don't forget to put your sourdough starter back in the fridge with the lid on. I forgot to mention that. All right, it's been 60 minutes. We're going to take the shower cap off, and we're going to dampen our hands, and we're going to stretch the dough again. It's starting to stick to the sides a little bit. That's why we dampen our hands, following these instructions. And then we're going to stretch it and fold it. So yeah, this is delicious, but and you know, it doesn't take hardly any ingredients, but it does take a lot of time. It's sure been good to eat it while they've been gone. I still have half a loaf left from last week. And now I'm making this one. If there's some left when they get here, they're gonna have to eat it, so. All right, so we're gonna keep folding this. We're gonna put that shower cap back on again and let it go another 60 minutes, guys. Another 60 minutes. It's been another 60 minutes. I'm going to wet my hands and again fold the dough about 8 to 10 times in a circle, creating some layers. And then we are going to put the shower cap back on and let this sit overnight, about 8 hours before we process it in the morning. So the next morning, all I do is add just a tiny bit of flour on a surface, and I just used a cutting board. And he said to press it out into a rectangle as flat as I could to get as many air bubbles out as I could, and then to roll it as tight as I could, like you were going to make cinnamon rolls. So that's what I did. And he has a loaf pan here. He did not tell me to spray it, so I did not spray it. So let's see how that goes. So then we cover this with that shower cap again and let it sit for another 8 hours before baking. The instructions were to let it raise until it was about an inch from the top, and then use this snazzy little score bread item that he has to make a small little cut along the top so that it will bake easily, and sprinkle the top with a little bit of flour. Then he told me to put a Pyrex bowl in the bottom of the oven, heat it up to 450 and preheat it with the water bowl in there. And then the bread's gonna go on the top shelf. And then he told me to splatter some water in the bottom of the oven. Don't ask me why. I'm just following these instructions. Crazy, I don't even know. Okay, and then we're gonna put our bread in there to bake on 450 for 25 minutes. And then we will check the temperature. It needs to be 160 to come out. If it's not 160, we'll put it in for about another 10 minutes. It's been 25 minutes. He says it needs to be golden brown. So we're going to take this out and use our thermometer and see if it is done. It really doesn't look too bad for my first time. So the temperature looks good. The bottom is firm and crusty, just like he said. And then he says it needs to sit out on this rack for at least 2 hours before I try to cut it. And I'm going to compare it here to the partial loaf I have left in his reusable bread bag. And it looks the same on the bottom. So, hey, I think we did it. And he saves and reuses all of these shower cap covers. Thank you for keeping me company while I made the sourdough. As you can see, I had my work cut out for me. If you make sourdough, leave some comments below. Let me know how I did. I would love to know. And I'm definitely not an expert, but his instructions were perfect because it came out perfect. So thanks for watching today. I hope to see you in the next video.